Hey, Futurist Jim and Carroll from the virtual broadcast studio. I've been running a series called Headlines in which I've been taking apart what's in the news today and putting in perspective what is really happening, because we live in a complex world. And today I want to talk about the chip shortage. You're certainly hearing about it. It's all part of what is happening with the massive global supply chain challenges that are happening. For me, it's not about the chip shortage, though. This is really a story of industries that have not aligned to the reality of the speed of change which is occurring as technology comes to drive forward every single aspect of their industry. And I want to use the automotive industry as a perfect example of what is going on. We're reading about the chip shortage, and you're certainly witnessing it. You can't get cars, you can't buy what you need. Used cars are actually selling for way more than they should be. New cars are coming off the lot and they're actually selling for more than the sale price. Everything is messed up. Everything is mixed up. It's all part of this massive issue of globalization. But again, this is not really a chip shortage issue. This is an issue where we have an industry that hasn't really aligned to the reality of the speed of change was occurring. So for me, this is a lesson about speed. And as every single industry becomes a technology industry, I think what you need to do is you need to think about the implications of this story within your industry and what you need to do to align to the reality of what comes next. Because clearly, every single industry is being bound up with semiconductor technology. Hyperconnectivity is at the root of every single trend. So for me, this is not a chip problem. It's a cautionary tale of what happens when you don't really align to the trends which are underway and you don't accelerate your capabilities as a company and as an industry to align to the reality of speed. Let's take it apart for you and help you understand what is really going on. Look, at the essence of this, if we take a look at the automotive industry, like many industries, what is happening here is cars are essentially becoming computers. I used to say on stage at many automotive conferences that automobiles are becoming rolling hyper-connected technology platforms on wheels with batteries. And if you take apart a car today, there are semiconductors, there are chips throughout it. It's fundamental to everything we do, and it's fundamental to the architecture of the vehicle. And that is only going to accelerate as electric vehicles come about, as battery technology comes about, as self-driving car technology comes about. If you think these things are based on technology now, wait until you see what's coming within the next year, 5 years, 10 years, because the volume of chips that are going to be in these vehicles is simply going to be staggering. We're already seeing the growth where upwards of 45 to 50% of the value of a car isn't in the engine, isn't in the stuff that uses the gasoline. It's in the computer chips. And if an industry cannot align to the reality of the speed which is occurring, it's really working with a blank slate. It's working with a blank screen. It's not doing what is necessary. there's a lot of really interesting facts as to what is going on. The typical electric vehicle has 3 to 5 times more computer chips than the typical gasoline or diesel vehicle. Automotive right now is only 5% of a global chip demand. Sure, they're having shortages. They can't get the chips that they need. One reason for that is the chip companies really don't care. They are a small customer in a vast market. They're only 5% of demand for one particular semiconductor manufacturing company known as TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. I actually was in with them for a talk years ago. Automotive is only 3% of their customer base. I mean, they really don't care about the challenges that automotive companies are having. Who's more important? Gamers, gaming technology, Nintendo and Xbox, and gamers and gaming technology are more important to chip companies than automotive, because that's where the growth is, that's where the opportunity is, and that's where we've got an industry which is truly aligned to the speed of the change that is occurring. This chip problem is all sort of wrapped up in this issue where we've got massive, big global supply chain challenges. Globalization is broken down. There's an entire show on my site in this headline series where I've talked about that. And I explained what is really happening here is we're moving from a world of just-in-time inventory to sort of just-in-case. Get what you can when you can, because you don't know when you're going to be able to get it again. And certainly that's the scramble that is happening with chips. Because what we have is this massive order lead time mismatch. Car companies are used to working on long elaborate order lead time cycles that involve a few years. We're going to architect, the car that we're going to have in 2 years. We're going to start to align to the order and production realities that we need 2 years out. Well, when the car industry becomes a technology industry, it doesn't work like that anymore. What happens is you have to work faster, you have to align faster, you have to have more agility, you have to challenge your supply chain to work at the speed of technology companies, not at the old speed that existed within the automotive companies. And this is part of what is going wrong. Really the most staggering story of what is happening here with car companies is they're working with old, out-of-date, obsolete architectures. I read one article while preparing for the show that a lot of car companies are trying to order chips from 2004 to put into 2021 cars, and the chip companies are going, whoa, we're not doing that. We got so much demand occurring with other customers. You don't matter to us. You're only 3% of our customer base. We're not going to go back and re-architect a whole bunch of 2004, 17-year-old chips to try to bring you into the future. Car companies have done this to themselves, and that's because they didn't align themselves to the speed of the change that was occurring as technology enveloped their industry. So for me, this is a story of it's an agility speed mismatch, and we're seeing some fascinating things happen as a result. Look, a modern car today can have 3,000 to 5,000 chips in 80 separate electronic control units. I mean, it's a staggering amount of technology in a vehicle. And here's what happens. The inability to get one single 50-cent chip can delay an $80,000 vehicle. If an organization hasn't done what it needs to do to make its supply chain in the technology world operate at perfection, it blows things apart. And that's what we are witnessing right now. It's only going to become a bigger problem because the cost of this technology in a vehicle is going from 10 to 35% of a vehicle cost today. It's going to be 50% in the next few years. And as I said, as electronic charging, as batteries, and as self-driving vehicle technology comes to the industry, rolling hyper-connected high-tech platforms on wheels, it's probably going to be hitting 60, 70, 80% of the value of the vehicle. That's because electric vehicles and self-driving use 3 to 5 times more chips per vehicle. So what's happening with this? Well, they're not getting the chips they need. Many businesses today, and it goes beyond automotive, are only getting 80% of their typical chip allocation. Some parts that could take a few weeks to order might now stretch out to a year. And if you're missing one part and it holds apart your $80,000 car that you can't bring to market because you're missing one chip, well, this is what you're saying. So automotive companies are bleeding. And from my perspective, it's their own fault. So far, we've seen $210 billion in lost revenue this year. Opel is closing one German car factory until well into 2022. Jaguar, they had a plan for a new model, and they're going to have to delay it a year because they can't bring it to market. I golf with a buddy who's bought, for future delivery, the new Mercedes electric vehicles. He's tremendously excited about it. And I told him the other day, guess what? You're not going to get it in 2022. Because they're probably not going to be able to get the chips necessary to build the darn thing. What this is also doing, which is also kind of sad, it is stifling innovation, particularly for smaller startups. So a really good example of a small vehicle delivery technology vehicle being developed out in British Columbia. They can't get the chips and they can't innovate at the speed of their ideas. They're losing the opportunities from this problem. But here's the fascinating thing, what is occurring in the midst of all this. Chip sales are up. It's not like we're not producing them. They're producing them. They're selling them into other markets. In 2021, we sold 44.5 billion units. That was an increase of 29.2% in 1 year. Automotive companies can't get these because they don't matter and they haven't aligned their supply chain to the reality of the speed that is occurring. Other industries are snapping them up. And where are we seeing the change? Well, look, Tesla. Tesla owns the future of automotive. I'm so excited because I got my Tesla Model 3 in August and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid and I'm becoming a part of this world. But what I'm really understanding here is Tesla understands what happens when an industry becomes a high-tech industry, when the future of the industry is all about semiconductors, connectivity, chips, computer technology. And you see some fascinating reports right now of what is going on. Tesla is not really having a chip shortage problem because they've learned how to get around it. How did Tesla find chips? There was a really good article put up by Morgan Stanley that broke down what they actually did, and Elon Musk said it was extremely difficult, but we managed to source them. And I personally experienced this. I got my car in August, and I went 56 days without receiving a software update. When you own a Tesla, you get software updates over the air. Your car becomes an upgradable, rolling, high-tech platform on wheels. And I never got an upgrade. And I was kind of thinking, do I have connectivity issues? Is something wrong? What I eventually learned is that my Tesla Model 3, which I got in August, was the first of a whole series that used new chips that Tesla had not used before. And what they were doing behind the scenes was they were re-architecting the software to deal with 21 different types of chips. Hence the largest software delay in Tesla's history. But what they managed to do was they managed to find alternate sources of supply. They're not going back and getting chips from 2004. They're getting sources where they can. And this is for unimportant stuff like doors and windows and windshield washers and stuff like that. But they managed to re-architect the reality. Every single company in every single industry is becoming a tech company. And what happens here is what we see is innovation at the speed of Silicon Valley. It's not the old luxurious speed of innovation that occurred in automotive 10 years ago. Cars are now evolving at the speed of your iPhone, of your Android device. They're innovating and evolving at the speed of chip technology. This presents automotive companies in virtually every industry that is touched by the arrival of technology with challenging new skills issues, because clearly automotive companies don't have a lot of the skills they need to go into this faster future. What it's really done is it's exposed the inadequacy of the supply chain systems that they've got in place. They've got supply chains which were architected for the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, not for the year 2021, where it's all about technology. It really has highlighted the lack of agility that these organizations have to align to this new world of speed. And really, highlights the need for better tech partnerships. I mean, if you're only 3% of a customer base of a semiconductor company as an automotive company, they really don't care about you. You need to work on your tech partnerships to make them work better. It really defines the need for a faster innovation shift. You need to learn to innovate at the speed of technology, not the old pace of innovation that occurred in your industry previously. It really emphasizes the reality of what happens with faster obsolescence, when products go out of date faster than ever before. And it challenges your assumptions about partnership reliability. And bottom line, it redefines the need for less trends skepticism. Look, I've talked to a tremendous number of automotive companies and automotive conferences through the years, and I've outlined, look, your industry is becoming a tech industry. Your future is going to be bound up in your ability to master everything technology and learn to innovate at technology speed. And I can tell you the number of senior level executives that I've had in the room who've been totally skeptical of the reality of what is going to occur. The thing with the chips shortage, we all saw this coming. We knew it was coming. We knew it was going to happen. And now we're seeing the implications of what happens when you don't align to the reality of what is occurring. So what do? Well, number one, you understand that the product has forever changed. It's not a widget anymore. I've gone into a lot of organizations where we've talked about the fact that the essence of your product, the essence of what you're selling is changing. You need to align to shorter life cycles, faster obsolescence. You need to understand that what it is you are selling, the sales and value proposition has changed forever. As a result, you presume and need to plan for working and innovating at speed. When every single industry becomes a technology industry, change happens faster than ever before. You need to align to that reality. You need to presume that your old business model is gone and a new one is emerging. And if you can't align to the new one, you're not going to be in the game. You need to be prepared to redefine and redeploy partnerships and working relationships going forward. Clearly, what automotive companies have done with chip companies has been insufficient, and they really haven't thought through what they need to do to align to their new reality. You need to presume a new and faster competitor. In the automotive industry, Tesla is setting the pace. In the medical device industry, new young startups are setting the pace. In the agricultural community, autonomous vehicle tractor technology companies are setting the pace. In every single industry, there's a new and faster competitor. One of the most important things I think you need to do to align to your reality is you need to make a conscious decision to not fight your future. I see a lot of organizations try to preserve old business models or keep in place structures they had in the past or do things which are going to try to make the status quo stay the same in the future. The status quo always disappears, particularly when technology has evolved. What you really need to do is you need to reevaluate your assumptions in light of the trends. Everything is changing. Nothing will ever be the same. Everything speeds up. And that's what we're seeing behind the scenes right now with the chip shortage. So the real lesson in all of this is forget yesterday, legacy and history. You might have been a successful automotive company. You might have had a successful product in the manufacturing sector. You might have had a successful medical device product. It's not going to carry you into tomorrow. Right now, everything you've done in the past is irrelevant because new rules are being written every single moment, and it's all about aligning to this new reality of speed. These are the messages I've shared on stage for over 25 years with some of the largest organizations around the world. And as we go into 2022, I will be continuing to provide this insight both virtually from virtual broadcast sets like this, as well as on stage at events around the world. You really need to think about what you need to do to align yourself to a reality in which everything changes. I'm going to share the close with you a little video I did about 25 disruptive trends which are changing your future. I want you to watch it and think about your company, your industry, your skills, your products, and where this places you in a world in which the future belongs to those who are fast. That's it for now. Futurist Jim Carroll from the Virtual Broadcast Studio.